Good evening, commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. The regular village council meeting for the village of Forest Park will come to order. This is our Monday, September 9th, 2024 meeting. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready.
Commissioner Maxim here, Commissioner Nero, Commissioner Bellin-Vergoven here, Commissioner Vogt here, Mayor Hoskins.
Here. Okay, commissioners, we need to approve the minutes from August 26th regular council meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxim. Is there a second?
Nero, second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Nero. Discussion? Okay, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Bellin-Vergoven, abstain, Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Okay, we're at public comment. Madam Clerk?
Dan Riley.
Good evening to everybody of the Village of Forest Park. Since I wrote my thing of concern, I've been advised, I'm still asking for a Jersey wall to be put on Marengo Avenue at the T alley just north of Roosevelt, because every day I've been kind of tracking and counting anywhere from 4 to 12 cars that turn off of Roosevelt Road that go right through the do not enter sign out the business district into the residential district, going the wrong way. We have everybody from juveniles to senior citizens. We have, including myself, we have other disabled and partially able people that have had to make maneuvers to get out of the way. People driving the wrong way. You know, stand there trying to point them, tell them that they're going the wrong way by half a block up. Just, you know, go through. So now you have a 4,000 pound, basically 4,000 pound missile. And I know there's school children and now the students back that have to cross that street. So even though when I wrote my comment, I've been advised by one of staff members that it's in the plans that you're going to do something. I ask that you please put a Jersey, just like what you have to prevent traffic that was coming off of Harlem Avenue turning onto westbound 13th Street. Like Jersey, tall Jersey. It's also the way that I've discussed it with some of the neighbors, the people who work for the temp agency. The bus always parks on the west side of the street, and the pedestrians, people on the bus, they walk, they don't care. So if you do that, you know, that'll make the bus park on the east side of the street. The bus parks on the west side of the street. When it's time for them to load it up, they're walking out, even though, you know, you have those buses. Everybody turning up Marengo Avenue, stop. So seriously, Jersey. That would force stop off Roosevelt Road to the T alley to go east to Elgin, west to Circle. It would force everybody who's coming off of Marengo, goes through the south, through the residential area to turn, same thing, turn east, and go through the T alley. So they're not going right through.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Okay, Commissioners, there are no formal communications tonight. There are no department reports for us to consider. We are in bills by resolution. Madam Clerk, whenever you're
Be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Forest Park, Cook County, Illinois, that we dispense with the reading of the individual bills inasmuch as each department head has approved and signed bills in the following aggregate amount for their respective departments. Refunds and allocations, $1,522. Public Affairs, $9,256.85. Police Department, $2,298.41. Council Finance Clerk's Office, $171,045.32. Accounts and Finance Fire Department, $35,579.14. Department of Health and Safety, $5,617.25. Streets and Public Improvements, $103,199.46. Public Property, $28,239.88. Seizure, $1,734.99. Federal Customs, $4,546.44. Tip, $3,178.25. VIP, $35,495.92. Water Department, $46,924.03, for a total of $448,637.94.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, is there a motion to adopt the resolution on the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxham. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Commissioner Nero. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Rogowin. Aye. Commissioner Vogt. Aye. Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is resolution R-78-24.
Okay, Commissioners, the first item under new business, we're gonna have a presentation from Housing Forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Schuler. I'm the CEO at Housing Forward. And with me is our Chief Program Officer, Armando Smith, and he's going to be handing out to you some of our, what we call our palm cards. And Village Clerk will be providing you with a packet of information that you can then duplicate so you can hand out to residents if they are looking for services or opportunities to volunteer. So thank you for inviting me here this evening in light of the tragedy on the morning of the Labor Day holiday of last Monday. Suffice it to say, that was a tragedy for this community. It was a tragedy and frankly a heinous crime inflicted on individuals who were using the Blue Line as their default or de facto shelter for the evening and into the early morning. We recognize that the CTA lines have become a de facto shelter because there are simply not enough shelter beds within West Suburban Cook County, which is the service area that Housing Forward covers. We have been a nonprofit in the area for 32 years. For 28 of those years, we operated an emergency shelter one night a week here in Forest Park at St. John Lutheran. They were a founding congregation. Forest Park was actually a founding community for us. When we started 32 years ago, we were known as Tri-Village Pads, reflecting the communities of Oak Park, Forest Park, and River Forest. St. John Lutheran was one of our founding congregations just north of Madison off Circle, up until COVID, and all of our emergency host congregations in partnership with the faith communities, that whole system collapsed, and not just for Housing Forward, but for all of suburban Cook County. Volunteers were not allowed to come into the faith communities. The churches and synagogues told us that we could no longer use those facilities because they were off limits. So many of us, including Housing Forward converted to a hotel-based model of shelter. We were in 3 different hotels the summer of 2020, and then we consolidated or centralized our what we call interim housing over at the Rite Inn Hotel on Oak Park Avenue. We then positioned ourselves to purchase that building with support from Cook County. President Toni Preckwinkle recognized that the entire emergency shelter system in suburban Cook County had collapsed, and she made the decision to set aside some federal relief funds, the ARPA funding, for the exclusive use of purchasing hotels. So Housing Forward, along with a colleague organization, Connections for the Homeless up in Evanston, purchased the hotels that we had been operating out of for the last 3-4 years under COVID. It was at that point, once we became full at the hotel, that we recognized that there was still a need for true emergency shelter services, because even with the opening of the hotel and 65 rooms there, that is still considered a closed site facility. You can't just walk up to the hotel and expect to get a bed that night. So we at that point had reached out to one of the congregations in Oak Park who had an empty rectory, and asked if we could convert that rectory into a 20-bed emergency shelter. And we did that January of 23. And we continue to operate that 20-bed facility, but it's only 12 hours a day, so it's not a 24 shelter operation. People can line up at 7 o'clock, if you will, and then they have to leave at 6:30. The nice thing, however, is that it's fixed site, and that they don't have to rotate to another community, another congregation, or what have you. We just went through a process with the Village of Oak Park. We went through the Plan Commission, and the board approved at the end of August the rezoning of that facility. So now we can actually keep that as a fixed site shelter in Oak Park. I will say that they went through that process, the whole process from Plan Commission to approval of the Village of Oak Park within 60 days. So they really did expedite that, so that will now become a fixed site shelter. And the proposal is that we will expand from 20 beds to 40 beds. However, we are not meeting all the life and safety requirements because we intended that to be very temporary. So we have applied for state funding. We will be renovating the rectory so we can be in compliance with all the life and safety. But until then, we are still at 20 beds. We have decided to move to a transitional housing model for families and transition age youth, because they are better suited in an apartment than in a very small accommodation over at the hotel. And again, the emergency shelter requires people to leave in the morning. So we have shifted our model for families and transition age youth to apartment-based units that we then lease. So all of that has happened in the last 4 years since we moved away from that rotating system of shelter, and that is now our response to homelessness. Is there a need for additional shelter beds? Absolutely. Again, as witnessed by the number of people that are coming out on the green line and the blue line, which is obviously within our service area, and we simply can't accommodate all of the demand that is out there in our respective communities. If you did Armando, did you hand these out too? Okay, can you let me so I can point to this? Armando's going to hand these out to you, and there are some additional ones that you can leave at the police department. Within this, we call this a palm card. You will see our 26 communities that are within our service area. So that's the inside fold.
Yep.
And the framework that we operate or how we describe our programming is through a prevent, respond, and stabilize approach. So on this left-hand side here is households that are at risk of losing their housing because they might be behind financially in paying their rent. Maybe they've had an economic hardship, a loss of income of some sort, a medical condition, which prevents them from being able to work. We can provide an intervention directly to the landlord through financial assistance. This is not a loan repayment program. This is not funding that we give directly to the tenant themselves, but it goes directly to the landlord. So we're able to provide that level of rental assistance. We can provide utility assistance as well. And then we have a smaller pool of funds that we have from United Way called diversion. And that is when a household has already lost their housing, but they may not be literally homeless just yet. They may be living in a doubled up situation. They may be living in a hotel and exhausting maybe some of their savings. So we can help out with a small amount of money to help them with getting a security deposit or first month's rent. If they need to go out of state to live with a friend or family member, we can help with that as well. The middle section is our response. So I already mentioned our interim housing program, our emergency shelter that we're operating in transitional housing. But we also have a street outreach team, and we have 5 full-time staff members dedicated to getting people connected into our services. We have 2 full-time staff that are dedicated to Oak Park. We have 1 that's dedicated to Berwyn and Cicero, and then we have 2 additional staff that are dedicated to Proviso Township. So they are doing outreach at the Forest Park hub, so they can be called upon if there is an instance where the police or fire are in need of our support. They can email outreach team at Housing Forward, and we can send our staff out to the Forest Park hub. We typically don't ride the trains like the Night Ministry and Thresholds, who has a contract with the CTA, because we don't have a contract with the CTA, so we don't tend to get on to the trains themselves, but we can do outreach at the hub. And we have a partnership with Loyola Street Medicine. I know that they are instrumental in the work that happens on Thursday nights at the hub, and so we are in conversation with them on how we might be able to lend our services. Very briefly, our medical respite program is designed for hospitals when they are discharging somebody who is experiencing homelessness and they need a place to recuperate or rest. Instead of sending them back out to the streets or into our emergency shelter, they can direct them to we have 2 medical respite programs. They're both in Oak Park. They can make referrals directly to that program. We don't leapfrog. We only take referrals directly from the hospitals for our medical respite program. And then the last piece of the card is our housing programs. So the bulk of our housing is what's called permanent supportive housing. You'll see a flyer in the packet. And this is for, it provides long-term rental assistance and case management services for folks that are on fixed incomes that cannot pay for fair market rent. We have to document that they have a disabling condition because that's part of the eligibility. So we have upwards of 260 units of permanent supportive housing scattered throughout our service area, and that is indicated actually on the service map you see here. Rapid rehousing is designed to provide rental assistance for somebody who's already become literally homeless, but who has the capacity to take over the full rent after 6, sometimes 9 months worth of assistance for rent is afforded to them. So housing for those that have a disabling condition, and then a housing for those that need some short-term rental assistance until they become fully stabilized. Are there any, I know that that's a lot to absorb because it is the full scope of services that we offer, but is there any questions from any of the commissioners or Mayor Hoskins?
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Housing Board?
I know one of the things that I wanted to emphasize and wanted to hear our community to hear was that I know as a commissioner, I hear from residents all the time the fact that we have unhoused people on our streets in Forest Park, and they want to know how to connect people with services or how to help folks with services. And I think it's important for folks to know that street outreach teams connect with folks in Forest Park or folks in Proviso. And there are ways that we can help inform our residents about how to help folks that they see. But oftentimes, even though you may be aware of someone who is unhoused, the service agencies in our area also know our street outreach teams, etc., are aware and are regularly reaching out to those folks. That's my understanding.
That's right.
Yes.
And we have a strong relationship with the Forest Park Library as well, so they know how to get a hold of us.
Yes.
But if there is a way to communicate how to connect with us by putting our phone number, into a newsletter or that email address, outreach team at Housing Forward, that's a very simple way to connect with
Yep.
us directly. We also have our support center, which is in Maywood, which is where we have our headquarters. That program is really a drop-in for individuals. It's at 1851 South 9th Avenue. It's open Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. We have showers, we have laundry, we can provide a sack lunch. We have we have case managers on staff that are there. So that's another easy way is people could just pop in. They don't need to schedule an appointment or what have you. Try to make that as easy as possible. There's also this phone number on the back, this 877 number. This is really the entry point for all of suburban Cook County. When you call this number, you get screened by your zip code, and then you get connected to an organization. So if you said 60301, most likely you would get referred back to Housing Forward. So this is another good phone number that is answered by United Way, very similar to the new 211 system in suburban Cook County as well. So a couple of different options for making resources available, phone numbers, email addresses, stopping in Maywood, how to connect people to our services.
And I'd be remiss as a Housing Forward board member if I didn't mention that Housing Forward is always looking for volunteers.
Yes, we're always looking for volunteers to provide meals and provide shifts at our emergency shelter and in-home housing.
Yeah.
Any other questions that I can answer for you?
Linda, I just want to thank you for coming here to give this presentation on short notice. Commissioners, last week, our colleague, Commissioner Melanie Goldman, invited me to a trivia night that Housing Board was having on Madison Street. And, given what happened last week and the fact that 2 of the victims have been confirmed as having been experiencing homelessness at the time, I thought it was a timely presentation for us. A lot of legislators have reached out to the Village of Forest Park and expressed, well wishes for us. All the communities are dealing with the same issues. I dropped my son off at the train station at Lake and Harlan daily, and there's a group of homeless, what appear to be homeless individuals, sleeping in front of the train station there. And so, Forest Park, Oak Park, other communities, we want to maintain the safety. And one of the things that organizations like Housing Forward do is they work regularly with them. So even if they don't want to find permanent shelter right away, at least that's part of the prevention. So that's all I have to say on that. But Linda, thank you for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we're happy to make other presentations if it's the Rotary or, the police department. We're happy to come to roll call or what have you. So please do keep us in mind for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, Commissioners, next item, we have an ordinance to waive, bid and authorize the acceptance of a proposal, for the purchase of training equipment for the fire department. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxine. Is there a second? Sure, Nero, second. Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Nero. Discussion? Okay, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero. Commissioner Mellon Rogovan.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is ordinance O-26-24.
Thank you. Next item is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a 2024 Freightliner Pro Forestry combo truck. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Bowles. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Mellon Rogovan. Discussion? Commissioner Bowles.
I just wanted to highlight the fact that, this is replacing two very old vehicles. I think it's a little over a year now. Sal and I were talking about the need to replace these two trucks and what the cost of each would be. And I'd asked him if we really needed to buy two or if a combo forestry truck could meet the needs of the department. And he said that, yeah, he'd actually prefer that. So him working with our fleet manager and identifying this truck that's on the agenda tonight, I just kind of want to highlight and celebrate a small situation, but somewhere where collaboration and communication and creative thinking is helping us meet our goals. We're updating our fleets with the equipment Public Works needs to do their job safely and successfully, while working to use the taxpayer money responsibly. And by discussing our options and finding this solution, it's helped to, reduce redundancies and ultimately cut the price tag almost in half, just getting the one truck instead of the two. And I know the state of our fleet was pretty dire 5 years ago, and I've been frank in my reports about that over the years, but it's not just doom and gloom. So I just wanted to highlight the fact that we've been actively working to improve that situation. And I certainly want to recognize Director Stella. He's been a consistent advocate for the department, while being open to ideas in these conversations and exploring different options as we work to update and modernize the fleet. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the council's continued support on this fleet management plan.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bowles. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Rogovan.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is ordinance O-27-24.
Okay, Commissioners, next item is an ordinance of section -6 and enabling for the issuance of liquor license for the Babs County Club located at 7316 Madison Street. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Mellon. Discussion. All right, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Rogovan.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is ordinance O-28-24.
Commissioners, next item is a resolution approving and ratifying the execution of a grant application between the Office of the Attorney General of the State of Illinois and the Village of Forest Park for the fiscal year 2025 organized retail theft crime grant. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxim. Is there a second? Sure. Nero, second. It's been seconded by Commissioner Nero. Discussion? Okay. There's no discussion. Now, Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Rogovan.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is resolution R-79-24.
Okay, next up, an ordinance authorizing and approving disposal of surplus property. These are police department receivers and in-car cameras. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Vaughn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Melvin. Discussion. Okay, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Mergoven.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is ordinance O-29-24.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, Commissioners, next item is a motion to direct the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to promote one fire lieutenant and to hire firefighter. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxim. Is there a second?
Nero second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Darrow. Discussion? Okay, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Mergoven.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Commissioners, next item is a motion to appoint Jordan Kim to the village's planning and zoning commission. Is there a motion?
Yes, Nero will make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Nero. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Maxim. Discussion? Okay, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Mergoven.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Okay, Commissioners, next item, we're seeking approval of the senior trip contract to Teatro Zanzani. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxim. Is there a second?
Sure, Nero second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Nero. Discussion on the theater trip? There's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Mergoven.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt. Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. All right, Commissioners, next item is they're seeking approval for a solicitation request. This is from the Kiwanis Club for their annual Peanut Days fundraiser. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Mellon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Vogt. Discussion. All right, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Mergoven.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Okay, Commissioners, the final item on the new business this evening are a series of banner requests. One is from Hepzibah. One is from the Chamber of Commerce for the casket races. And also the Chamber is requesting permission to put a banner for their wine walk and shop crawl. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Vaughn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Melvin. Discussion. Okay, there's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim. Aye. Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon Mergoven.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Okay, Commissioners, that concludes new business for this evening. Our administrator is not with us tonight, so we are at Commissioner reports. Commissioner Maxim.
Yeah, I have a few things to say. It was obviously a sad week in Forest Park. We had a extremely tragic execution style murder happen here, and you know, death is always sad. The loss of life is always sad, but when it happens really close to home, I think we should think about it a lot more seriously. One of the interesting things that kind of came out of this was that the commissioners, all of us talked about how to honor the police department. And why that was interesting to me is because it's probably the first time all of us commissioners have kindly talked to one another in a really long time. And it sort of made me think that that was terrible, that we never talk kindly to or about one another. And then it also made me think about what we should do to honor the police department. And we opted against some kind of, big grand gesture because the police department didn't want that. And they said that they were just doing their jobs. And I thought about that a lot. And I thought, you know what, every single day, the police department, the fire department, and every other department here is just doing their jobs. And they're the ones that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And they do that every day. And a lot of times they do it despite us here as a council and the way we interact with one another. And so you guys are doing what you should be doing. We up here are not doing what we should be doing. And I want to talk a little bit about that because I think this is really important. And I think none of us address this, and I'm going to, because we all talk about transparency. So I'm going to be super transparent. Some of us have been and can be really petty, including myself. Some of us have been often extremely condescending to staff to the point that it's created what I would consider a hostile work environment, and that in any other kind of line of work, if we weren't elected officials, it would not be allowed to continue. The emails I've seen, the way people are talked to is completely unacceptable, and nobody should have to work in that kind of environment. And I'm talking about people here that have served this town for 10 or 20 or 30 or more years than that, who are the real experts in their fields. And we sit up here and we think that maybe because we were elected or we love this town so much, or because we've studied the code so deeply that we know more than these people sitting here who are the true experts here. And we don't. It doesn't mean we don't have a say, but it does mean we don't get to talk to them like we know more than they do. I think sometimes we care more about who gets the information first than what the information is. There's so many times where someone said, well, how did she know that before I did? Or how come he knew that before, the rest of us were told? You know what? It doesn't matter who gets the information first. What matters is what we do with that information, and that we're using it to make this town a better place for everybody. And it doesn't mean that because you didn't hear something first, that there's collusion going on or that people are in bed together. It doesn't mean that. It just means that certain people have respect for each other. And let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater because we don't like the way something got communicated to us. I think we like to hoard information and we like to hold grudges. Sometimes we come to meetings without having communicated ahead of time to staff or the other commissioners up here issues that we have with something. And it feels like it's more important to have like this special gotcha moment than to actually have a meaningful conversation about how we can improve this town. If there's time to ask staff about something ahead of time, do it. Let staff come prepared so we can actually do better than we're doing right now. And guess what? We have two really important things coming up to do that with. We have the zoning code rewrites, which Director Glinke sent out way ahead of time. So we have more than enough time to ask about that. And the salary ordinance, which we should already have done. I've been trying to get a special meeting because we owe this to our staff that we say we care about, but let's show we care about them by actually giving them the increases that they deserve and that we did not give some of them last year. That's very, very important to me. And lastly, and this is a personal thing, I've been snubbed in public by some of the other elected officials here. And that's fine if you guys want to do that, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not here to play games with anybody here. I'm not here to play games at all. And I'm not going to be the villain to anybody's playing victim anymore. For me, that is over. And I just want to thank everyone sitting over there who works here. And thank you for doing a good job despite us, not because of us. And finally, I want to say that if anyone here or a resident or anybody wants to meet one-on-one with me and talk about this, I am available for coffee. I'm available for a drink. I will sit down and talk about this, but guys, we need to get our shit together. Like this is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Maxon. Commissioner Nero. Oh, well, thank you, Commissioner. Well said. So perhaps history has taught us over time that in the wake of a tragedy, it brings the opportunity for you. And maybe with respect to your comments, not only will that fall upon the Village of Forest Park and its residents, but perhaps as council. So well said. I'll wait. That being said, I didn't know what exactly how and what if I was gonna say anything, but I think it's important to recognize that I just can't imagine throughout, whether you're a firefighter, first responder, police officer, or even staff that worked here or works here currently, would you have any kind of training preparation for perhaps what those folks, first responders, walked in onto the line last week, what they saw, and so from where I sit, I mean, I've seen some things, but I certainly haven't seen most certainly what you all saw. I respect what you do. My heart and hope goes out to you for what you continue to do for the community. But I think we need to have patience now more than ever for the healing. And, we can all be tough for sure, but mentally and emotionally, those types of things take a toll. And throughout that process, I am very proud of not only our first responders, but the way that our elected officials and most importantly staff rallied and really grinded out that week in the face of adversity and put the Village of Forest Park and certainly those that lost their lives and were very sensitive and also professional. And so for that, again, I thank you. That being said, a tough transition here, but I did want to highlight some positive things over the weeks, months, last several years. There's been a lot of developments and in the Village of Forest Park and working with Director Leakey, I know that the building department or public health and safety department, building department has been, as I stated 2 weeks ago, been very, very busy. But things are happening in the Village of Forest Park, and it's been very positive. And some of those things are, many of you know, the U-Haul structure is underway. And what's good, what's happening there is that they will be under the roof by time the weather breaks, which would be good. Once they get a roof on, they can start banging out the enclosure. Edsway townhomes again under roof in just a few weeks. And those are two recent developments. One more recent than the other. The 690 Aldi, after some construction delays, is scheduled for a November 1st open. So perhaps we can do our Thanksgiving dinner shopping there. Washington townhomes under roof and ready for drywall, which is good. We talked maybe a month or so ago about a new butcher shop in town on Madison Street and is under permit rather. Another new restaurant in town is taking over at the old archery shop, which has been vacant for some time now, and they're under permit. And then also Shanahan's and Charlie's, if you're familiar, on Madison and Roosevelt Road, is for sale. And the village is obviously looking to backfill with some new tenants, so that's exciting news. We want to get new businesses in. Something that you might not know, 60-unit new construction apartment building is under its due diligence and gearing up for a hearing before the PCC. Don't ask, because I'm not at liberty to disclose the location at this point. And facelifts, if you were here as we move forward with the cannabis dispensary over Circle in Harlem Avenue, facelifts for like at CVS, so the Pep Boys, Dunkin' over there are all underway. So that whole corner is going to be redeveloped and really change the face of that corner in Village Forest Park. So those are all wonderful things that are happening. End of report, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Nero. Commissioner Melville.
Thank you. I want to add to the comments of my colleagues to thank our first responders in light of the tragedy that has occurred in our village. I have never been more saddened as a village resident at the tragedy that occurred, and at the same time more proud of the response that our village staff and our village first responders demonstrated. You know, I think what happened on Labor Day was unique in that it put our village on a level of the national spotlight, and it showed what we can do and the teamwork and the level of training and professionalism and expertise that we have as first responders, as our village staff, to care for and to respond to mass casualty situation and to show the humanity that we have as a village uniquely to respond to a tragedy and to be professional and to be uniquely a village that cares in light of just a tremendous tragedy. And as someone who took the initiative to reach out to my colleagues and to show our first responders and to demonstrate care and concern for our village staff in light of the tremendous workload that they showed and that they took on in light of caring for our village and responding to the workload that we had ongoing. You know, I wanted to just say that, you know, I'm someone that welcomes communication ongoing, and I think that we all try and do our best to care for each other ongoing. But I was proud. I'm proud to be a Forest Park resident, someone who represents our village every day, but never so proud as I have been the way we cared for and responded this past week. Transitioning into things that we did this week as well to care for our village ongoing. I was proud to represent and participate in the Fall Fest, and I want to thank the Park District for an outstanding event. I provided with our Traffic and Safety Committee information about safe streets and met with residents to provide them with trick-or-treat safety information as well as information from IDOT and Ride Illinois about biking, walking, and driving safely in Forest Park. And that was an outstanding event that I attended, and I just wanted to thank everyone I met with. And I wanted to thank Housing Forward for being here today to educate us as a village. And as a board member, I'm available to provide ongoing information to our residents about Housing Forward, especially about their street outreach program. I realize that unhoused people in Forest Park is an ongoing concern out of care and concern for unhoused people, not only at the CTA, but on our streets in Forest Park. The library is engaged with Housing Forward, but I do hear about unhoused residents on our streets, and I do have ongoing information for residents about them. So that's what I have today. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Melvin. Commissioner Vogt.
I think I'll just get this out of the way. The community cleanup is Saturday, the 21st at 9 a.m. I invite everyone to register, and we want to thank Twisted Cookie for donating a treat for all of the volunteers. So with that business out of the way, I will echo the sentiments of most of our fellow commissioners up here. I would like to thank everyone at Village Hall, our first responders, and Mayor Hoskins for their work this past week. I know there's little one or anyone can say to the families who have lost their loved ones, but I do pray that with time they may find some peace and comfort in their memory. And I'm very sorry for their loss. It's heartbreaking to hear again and again about people losing their lives to gun violence, and to have it touch our small community last week was sobering. Well, we've not had to deal with a situation like this before. All of you worked so hard to communicate with the public and to keep our village running smoothly, and to work collaboratively with the CTA and CPD to catch a suspect, which was done so quickly. I have to imagine you saved some lives. So thank you for handling a terrible situation with grace, with empathy, and with professionalism. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Vogt. So one of the families whose loved one was killed last week wanted to see him buried in Forest Park because it's the last community he was alive. So the funeral of Simeon Behesi will take place tomorrow in Forest Park at the Zimmerman Hardened Funeral Home. There's a public visitation at 10 a.m., followed by the burial service at Concordia Cemetery, 79 West Madison Street. And the service will be officiated by Pastor Dwayne Joyce, who serves as pastor of the church. That's a church located at Harvard and Elgin. And then as far as the response goes, for a long time I've known that the police department in Forest Park. And last week they put their training plain and simple. Chief Gross has served this community. He happened to have been away. But the people who he designated to serve under him did their jobs. I want to highlight and recognize Deputy Chief Chris Chen, Lieutenant Detective Dan, and Sergeant Adam Stassinopoulos. Those three individuals led the investigation. They fielded numerous workers. They worked with other agencies and compiled a lot of information. And it wasn't just them, but I think they were the faces of the investigation. And they were, for the most part, in communications with administrative. So, Chief, thank you for leading the department, and to the rest of the staff, thanks for the support that you all provided to the police department this past week. The work is not over. So we'll just move on from there. Having said that, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Sir, Nero, make that motion. Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Nero. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Maxam. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Carroll,
Aye.
Commissioner Melvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt, Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. We're adjourned.